this final Bears topic that we have about the defensive line, which has been my number one concern all season. My concern has been about needing to get help for Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat had a big second half of the year. Of course, the Bears had not a good pass rush. They were really good the last couple weeks of the season when they got Montez, and Yannick was playing real good alongside Montez before he got hurt. But I always said that I wanted them to add something more in the offseason. And Ryan Poles said in his but his media day press conference when camp started last Friday that they're kind of good with the roster as is right now. They're going to evaluate, and if there is time to add a vet, they will do so. That's my biggest concern. I think today was the first time you could really judge the defensive line because they were in pads. They looked fast. They looked quick. Eric Washington made a huge emphasis on having only 4 guys rush, and those 4 guys look really good. Tez does what Tez does all the time. Gervon Dexter is flying off the page. I'm flying off the line, and they're looking real good. Austin Booker is showing some flashes as well. I don't know how much that's going to translate in actual game against better offensive lines and things like that, but it kind of feels like they actually have a plan to actually get to the quarterback. So I'll trust Eric Washington's plan, but one thing I do believe what Ryan Poles is going to do is he's going to look at this situation as something where we'll see how this does, and if it doesn't work out by the time trade deadline is, which is actually funny, trade deadline is actually the same day as election day this year, which is very funny. Very, very funny. So that's going to be something to watch. And then if it's not working out, I think he will make a trade, whether it's somebody else, maybe a Matthew Judon, something like that. Remember, they have that second rounder from Carolina still there. We got a couple questions I'm going to answer before I give it off to Dante. Bobby Thompson says, Justin Jones was that big talker that didn't live up to hype. Do you get that vibe from Walker now? Is he capable of backing up? I mean, that's a great question. He does talk a lot. He is the loudest person on the defense. And I don't know if he can back it up because he wasn't somebody who, jumped off the page when he was with Tennessee. When they actually signed him, I kind of looked at him as more as depth. But the way he's been talking is that, he wasn't really healthy last year and that he can really do more in this defense. So I don't know. I hope he can, because if he can, it takes the D-line to another level. But I think the difference between him and Justin Jones was I feel like DeMarcus Walker, his talking isn't just I'm just talking to be talking. Justin Jones seemed like he just one of them niggas that just talk, just he like to talk, just like he hear himself talking. So I think that if he does, it will help them tremendously. But I don't know. That's something to look at, because if he doesn't, that's going to be something that's not going to help him at all. Another question from Victor: how was Jake Martin look? Seems like they were hyping him up. Yeah, Jake Martin had a good week at camp. I don't think he's anything more than a backup. I don't think it's going to be anything more special than what he is, but he's shown some flashes this week. Had a big practice as well. And the Say Shot City says, are they looking to play D Walker more at 3-tech along with Dexter? I don't think so. I don't think they are. I think he's strictly going to be coming off rushing, like off the edge. I think they're leaving that 3-tech mainly to Gervon, and I think that's why I feel like all the chips are being thrown there right now. It really feels like Ryan Poles, Eric Washington, and Matt Eberflus are throwing all their chips on Gervon Dexter having this monster year. And Gervon, I believe, believes that he can too, because the nigga wasn't talking to last year. Me and my brother interviewed Gervon twice. He's real silent, put his head down. He called Joe sir, which is hilarious. I told Joe, you're unk now, my nigga. It's not just me. So it looks like that they're betting the house on him. And as far as what we saw today, it was good.
So would you say you're looking at Montez Sweat on the outside, Andrew Billings, Gervon Dexter, and then
DeMarcus.
Walker, and then DeMarcus? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think it's going to be. Dante, what do you think about Poles standing put with the defensive line? Do you have any concerns about it going into the season?
I think this is one of those things that, when you hire Eric Washington, it's kind of like the Craig Counsell with the Cubs move, where you're trying to maximize the talent you already have on the roster. He's known for doing that with defensive lines everywhere he's gone. And so now with a full year Montez Sweat, we already have the pieces that we want to see do more. And I think this is a guy they expect to get more out of them. So I don't really see it as a problem. Also, I think we also just continue to forget that we still have a lot of flexibility. Like, we have 9 picks next year. There's cap space. There will be players that come up for a trade. I know it's still a pie in the sky thing right now, but if they don't pay Michael Parsons, then that option is out there. It's still going to be pieces available for them to add to it if they need to. So I think right now, with all of the pieces you've added on offense, with how good your cornerbacks are, your linebacking core is good. I think you're at a point now where it's like, okay, let me see what I can do with a full year of Montez and the effect that he has. Like we saw, Washington has been moving him around the defensive line. So just seeing how he can impact the scheme from different positions, I think that may be an addition without us going out and spending money. And so, yeah, like Victor said, bro, we know Poles is good for an in-season trade. So if he can go get some talent, even if it's not a big name like Micah, if it's somebody that just can come give us 6 or 7 sacks, some shit like that, that would be, icing on the cake for him because he's already put a lot of pieces in other parts of this team. So I don't think it's a concern. I think it could be good we can go into this season as is, and this is still a team that the defense is going to be expected to be a top 10 defense.
Bang, man, what you think about the D-line, man? Any concerns for you?
No. I just want to see Gervon Dexter because this version of Tampa 2 or any version of Tampa 2 is very dependent on the 3-tech. When you look at Warren Sapp out there with Tony Dungy, even when Tony Dungy was with the Minnesota Vikings as their defensive coordinator, John Randall had his best years. You can just go down the line of any version of this defense and look at the 3-tech and see how important, not only how important that position is, but I just named you 2 players that's currently in the NFL Hall of Fame, in the Football Hall of Fame, and are both one of the best defensive tackles of all time. With that being said, if you have Montez Sweat and you have a Gervon Dexter that's collapsing the middle and getting after it, then Billings' job as the run stuffer is easier. Whoever is on that other side job is much easier. Walker's job is easier. Austin Booker's job is much easier. It's damn near impossible to double team at this point because then if you double team, then that means that if you double team him, that means that somebody's getting off. Pause. And once that happens, it makes the whole front 7 better. We already have a nice defense that has some dope linebackers. Y'all just talked to TJ Edwards. He's the unsung hero of the defense. Tremaine Edmonds. They do a lot of nickel, but when Sanborn comes out there, he out there killing it. And then most importantly, on paper, you probably have one of the best defensive backfields in the NFC. So if that defensive line improves in any way for Gervon Dexter, being a good 3-tech, just good, consistent, boy, that defensive backfield is going to have a field day.
Yep.
Kyler is going to probably be the person to me that benefits the most in the slot. But of course, you already got JJ. You got Kevin Byers, who comes in with a lot of experience. You got Brisker, who could probably stay healthy because it's going to make things a bit easier for him. How that defensive line goes is how that defense goes. And if Gervon Dexter is the perfect 3-tech for this defense goes from top 10 to top 3 and not 3.
Yeah. I think just the one thing that we gotta also understand, like, this is not a one and done season for the Bears. Like, I know there's a lot of excitement. I know that we're all, super hyped for them to get on the field, and we think that they can be a surprise team and make a run. But Ryan Poles is going to continue to play this how he has been. This isn't the finished product for the team. We were arguing why he wasn't getting wide receivers when Justin was here, why he wasn't addressing the O-line, and then he did that in year 2. Then in year 3, now he went ahead and he's poured into the offensive line. I think the final piece next season, whether via the draft or free agency, is he's going to go and get him that big-time defensive lineman to complement Montez Sweat. So I think with them, they're playing with house money right now. Austin Booker, I think he can go ahead and flash, coming in a rotational spot, coming in on kind of must-have passing down situations for the other teams where he could come in and just bull rush, you know, the tackle. And then Poles is going to evaluate mid-season. If this team is off to a crazy start and somebody is down, you know, a surprise team, we know how the NFL is. There's teams that every year in the playoffs and the very next year, they're sub 500. He's going to evaluate this team as we continue to go on. And if he can go ahead and pull off a trade this offseason, like Vic said, he'll 100% do that. If not, I think next year is the year where he 100% just pours into that line.
And that's the crazy thing, real quick. That's the crazy thing, Mikey. I don't think they're going to need that. We got all of these picks. We still going to have money. And if Gervon is who we see the first day in pads, and that's not even the top of what he can do, you're not going to need that at all. Like, you're not going to have to go out there and spend capital or spend a lot of money on Micah Parsons or anybody, because you will have the perfect person for it. The perfect person for this defense is not a defensive end to complement Montez Sweat. It's that 3-tech. You get that person in that spot, everything else falls in place for this defense. And you can now use that money to re-sign people. You can use that money to re-up DJ Moore. You can use that money to pay to re-up on a couple of things, shore up that offensive line, because Ryan Bates could be the person for now, but we got to make sure that we see that. Do you decide to re-up on Tevin or not? Tevin has expressed that he wants to re-up. The Bears like, oh, no, Playboy, we're going to wait and see if your ass can stay up on this field, So they can use that money to go elsewhere if Gervon Dexter is the 3-tech that we need. So, and that's what I'm praying. Like, that's literally what I want. If he's the guy, we don't need shit else. We straight on defense.
And paper on this player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not going to hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm